give yourself grace because we make mistakes. Every day is not going to be a good day, but each day is an opportunity to get it right.
Let's go.
Oh, you gotta watch it.
Get ready to get inspired. This is the Go4TheGoldy podcast.
Hello there. It is Wednesday, May 19th, 2021. Welcome to episode 36 of the Go4TheGoldy podcast. And today, I am joined by a lifestyle and wellness coach, as well as a fellow member of that famous on-run crew, Almetria Turner. Almetria, welcome to the show, and thanks for joining us tonight. And much appreciated.
Well, thank you, Brian, for having me on today. I appreciate it, too.
Been really looking forward to this one because you are, from the little that we've communicated with, a very inspiring and crazy busy and motivating person. So, if you don't mind, right off the bat, let's kick it off with just a quick intro about yourself, a little bit about who you are and, what you do.
Okay. Well, my name is Almetria Turner. I'm originally from Memphis, Tennessee, home of the blues and barbecue, as well as Elvis. I'm still living here in Memphis. I have a bachelor's and master's degree in journalism with emphasis in advertising and public relations. I'm a lifestyle and wellness coach and a whole lot of other things, I guess you can say, from a fitness instructor to a running coach, indoor cycling, boot camp. Now I'm into yoga, so I just finished my yoga certification. In doula training, so I'm trying to help women have empowered and dignified births. A marathoner. I'm quite a bit of everything. Cookbook author, recipe developer. I love cooking. Motivational speaker. So anything basically health and wellness related. I call myself a wellness disruptor.
I love that. That's very interesting. And I'll tell you, any one of those things is enough to fill someone's entire day. So the fact that you're all of those things is just, I can't wait to get into it. And I wasn't kidding when I said that. I follow you and I'm like, how the hell does she have time for all of this? This is nuts. So we came in touch with each other through the On-Run crew. For those that follow me, they know I'm always talking about that brand and, my path to getting in touch with them. But let's start there because that was one of the things that you touched on. You're a marathoner and like endurance and stuff like that. So I guess, how did you get started with that and what do you currently do? Are you training for any marathons specifically or what have you done in the past?
Well, honestly, I never, ever in my life would have thought to become a runner. I was leading a very sedentary lifestyle. I came from a place of morbid obesity. I've been overweight my entire life. And it's so weird that we're filming episode 36 because it was at the age of 36 that I decided to turn my life around.
Look at that. That's fate right there.
It is. When you said episode 36, I said that was the age in which I said, you know what, I have to do something about this. So I was morbidly obese. I was almost 350 pounds. I had diabetes as well as hypertension. And I took it upon myself as far as at the age of 36. I was like, I want to be fit by 40. So I gave myself a goal of 4 years to lose the weight, learn how to eat healthier, and basically get my butt up off the couch. And so within the 4-year time span, I naturally lost 177 pounds. I completed my first half marathon before I turned 40. I was turning 40 that year. And I completed my first marathon 2 years later. But I've done every distance there is. Even, like I said, became a certified RRCA as well as a USATF running coach and race director. And so when I said leading a sedentary lifestyle, I really, really did. I never in a million years thought that I could walk a mile, let alone run 26.2. And so it's just, I'm at a place where I just received my road ID bracelet in the mail today. And on it, it says Fit and Finally Free, which is also the name of my business. and it says running gives me freedom, because running actually did give me the freedom in which I needed in order to lose the weight, find myself, and just to mark a path for me to go down, because I was heading down a path of death, truth be told. And so I wanted to live. And so that was, really the goal of which I've had. I was like, I want to be fit by 40. And this is the first time in my life, I'm 47 now, that I've ever been in, great shape as far as in terms of wellness. And for the past 7 or 8 years, I've been medication free. So I haven't taken anything in terms of the diabetes or hypertension, because I pretty much corrected or self-healed through just eating correctly, as well as working out and exercising. So it was a gift as well as it was a curse for me, because like I said, I was headed down a path of destruction as far as just like I said, as far as being overweight. So that's how I got onto the path of running. It gave me freedom. It gave me the tools in which I needed to overcome, I guess, the depression, the low self-esteem, and, the place how did I get here? And so, it was just a couple of footsteps, because the journey of 1,000 steps starts with one. Journey of 1,000 miles starts with one step. And so I just had to put one foot in front of the other and just keep moving.
Well, first of all, that is, I'll tell you, that really strikes a chord with me, your story, because I was the training and outreach and training coordinator at a run store in Buffalo, New York, where I'm from. And there were, for every successful story like you, there were 1 million people that would take that first step in that journey, like you said, and the path in front of them would become too overwhelming and they'd give up. And I would it was so hard to say, you did the hard part, you started. Starting's the hardest part. Once you get going and that momentum starts carrying you, that's, just keep going. That's it, But I wish, and the way that this whole podcast started was my idea was I wanted to motivate others to realize that people just have this bizarre idea of what old is, right? Like a 36-year-old who you said you were 350 pounds, for most people they'd be nah, I'm old, my ship sailed, and this is me the rest of my life. And you said, truth be told, you're not going to have a very long life if you continue to go down that path, So that's just an absolutely incredible story, and I know just how hard you must have worked to get to the point that you're at. So I'll tell you, just talking to people and not really knowing a lot about their past. I didn't know any of this about you before you came on today. It's just so inspiring to talk to people like you, and wow, that's absolutely incredible. So honestly, bravo to you for all that stuff. That's wild. So what was the first marathon that you ever did that after your weight loss journey?
St. Jude, right here in my hometown, because it was the place where I wanted to, get my start. St. Jude, I'm one of their Heroes Ambassadors. I'm also on their National Digital Influencer team, where I really believe in their cause, because no child should ever, or parent should ever have to pay a bill in terms of trying to take care of their children.
Right.
There's all about childhood cancer. They share the research to different hospitals and doctors all around the world for free. And like I said, parents don't have to pay a bill. The only worry in which they should have to worry about is, like I said, taking care of their children. So that's something that I wholeheartedly believe in, and I wanted to give back to my community in that regard, in terms of raising awareness and funds as far as for the hospital, because it costs over $2 million per day from day-to-day operations in order for the hospital to succeed. In terms of care, in terms of research, salaries, keeping the lights on. And so that's where I really wanted to, like I said, give my first, half marathon as well as marathon. I'm right here in my hometown.
That's real quick. Is there a way for you to maybe adjust your camera a little bit? The sun right behind you. We kind of lost you.
Oh, I'm sorry, because it's the light from the window. I can turn on a lamp.
Yeah, because I can't really see you.
I wasn't even paying attention.
No, that's all right. That's all right. That's my job. I'm the one producing it, right?
I could turn that lamp on.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah,
All right.
yeah, there we go. So it's actually pretty ironic that you brought up the St. Jude thing because I'm actually doing a fundraiser next week for St. Jude.
What the?
Yeah. How about the timing on that, huh? The 36 and the St. Jude thing. Yeah, that's fate. I'm doing a so earlier in the year I had a couple on, a married couple that both have had cancer and they had it at different points in their lives. One had it as a kid and the other as an adult, but their like main goal in life is to do live stream fundraising. So next week we're doing, I don't know if you've ever heard of Zwift, the cycling platform. Have you ever heard of it before? Yeah, so it's a 48-hour, I should know this, it's either 48 or 72 hour. It's like we're doing it in 3-hour increments. So I have next Friday morning from 4 a.m. to 7 a.m. I'm going to be doing a 3-hour fundraising live stream, and we pass the people watching on to the next people and the next people. So it's just like a 72-hour continuous live stream. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, I believe in that foundation obviously too, and what they're doing, and so that moment that you cross the finish line, like it's your hometown. You've lost a bunch of weight. It's your first time achieving this feat. I mean, what was that feeling like?
It was amazing. Of course, like with any runner, you sit there, it's like you go through the ebbs and the flows of running. You see the finish line, you're tired, and then you have to remember your why you're here. And so my why was the children of St. Jude. And once I crossed the finish line, it's like, okay, so when's the next one?
That's the most dangerous, the most dangerous thought an endurance athlete can have is they cross that finish line, then just immediately, all right, what's next?
Yeah, what's the next one? We'll close these blinds. Let it light here. Okay.
That's good. So, I mean, let me just ask you, I mean, right off the bat here, I mean, to someone who is struggling with weight, regardless of how old they are, what advice would you give them to get started? Because, I mean, personally, I've never been overweight, so I could preach till the cows come home, but, like, for someone who's actually done the work and, been in those shoes, like, that's why, like, David Goggins is so inspirational, right? Like, crazy overweight guy, and I was just doing crazy insane stuff, and that his message resonates with people because he can he was there before. So what advice would you give to someone who would want to follow in your footsteps?
Well, for one, you have to do it for you. So many people try to encourage me, just like, hey, we really care about you, have you thought about trying to lose some weight, yada yada yada. But you have to be ready. No one else can sit there and force a horse to drink the water, even though the water might be there. Mm-hmm. So as far as with me, unfortunately, I had to be reactive as opposed to being proactive, because I'm pretty sure my doctor, said that it's like you're pre-diabetic, or this is what you should do, lose 10% of your body, body weight. You can, you won't head down the path of diabetes or anything like that. But I had to do it for me. I had to change my mindset as far as me wanting to lose the weight. And honestly, what was my why? Was it to, get into a dress for an upcoming event? Was it to go to a beach? Was it, something that was materialistic as far as like, oh, I like this dress? It's like, no, I wanted to live. That was my why. I didn't want to have the diabetes as far as the consequences turn into blindness, amputations, stroke. I didn't want the hypertension to, be like a heart attack. I'm a very independent person. So I didn't want having to be a burden on anyone as far as taking care of me. Mm-hmm. So as far as the person who wants to lose the weight, the first question is why? What's your why? Is it that, is it you? Is it for your children? For your family? What's your why? And so, my why was, like I said, I wanted to live. And so, you have to change your mindset towards food and towards fitness. Find an exercise or a sporting activity that you enjoy and that is not a burden or a chore. As far as food wise, it was just a matter of me learning how to balance my plate, practice portion control and learn how to eat some of the same foods in which I love in a healthier way, as far as a healthier preparation, as far as having alternatives, as far as, say I love pasta. So instead of getting white pasta, I chose whole wheat pasta or a chickpea pasta. I still can eat it, and the same thing as far as with moderation. I believe in moderation and not elimination. So as far as with all these fad diets that's out here, like the keto or low carb diets, I'm like, that's eliminating food groups. Your body's preferred source of energy are carbs. Yet and still, it's like, people think that carbs are the enemy. It's the simple carbs that, sit there and, spike your sugar up, as opposed to the complex carbs.
Yeah.
How many of these carbs are you eating per day? Are you pairing the carbs with protein so your sugar doesn't spike? You can have the donut or the cupcake or the, crackers occasionally. It's the everyday thing that, gets us in trouble, and how much we do it and how often. So elimination, moderation instead of elimination.
And I think for every rule too, there's like, you're gonna hear exceptions to every rule, but I think the vast majority of people, I think you're gonna see because I was a trainer at a gym for a while, and and I did was the outreach and training coordinator for that running store, and I think when you try to eliminate something completely, like you're talking about, it just winds up boomeranging back even harder. You know what I mean? And that's why I love the moderation, not elimination. I've never heard that before, but you're full of really cool sayings so far. I enjoy these.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, I love them. But I think that's a great one. I really do think that's a great one. I used to tell people that, like, if you enjoy pizza, like, don't quit eating pizza. Like, that's just going to make you want it more. Like, but don't eat a whole pizza. Have a slice or two, like once a week instead of every day, and it'll taste that much sweeter because you've like earned it, in your head, that it's like you can't, and not even earn it, because then you develop this like unhealthy relationship with eating too. You know what I mean? But it's like enjoy it when you have it, and it makes you enjoy it just that much more, because it's a part of your life moving forward. You're right. These elimination diets and these fad things, it's unfortunate because it's just kind of the way of the world nowadays. It's, marketing and
it's not sustainable. No. It's like, do you want to pee on a stick every day to make sure you're in ketosis? Do you want to eat in these, windows as far as intermittent fasting and miss your, girlfriend's wedding because you can't eat at her reception?
Right.
It's like, you're missing out on life's moments for these temporary diets.
Yeah.
And it doesn't make any sense when, like you said, you can sit there and, do it in moderation and not elimination, and just eat whole, nutrient-dense foods and make sure that it's balanced and it's portioned.
Yep.
Like I said, don't eliminate food groups. Eating should be sustainable and not because of pleasure. It shouldn't be something that we earn, nothing to comfort us. It's basically in order for us to live.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And so this is a good transition, I think, to talk about something that I wanted to talk about, the book that you wrote. So obviously, this was a book that was written, well after your journey, right? I mean, this isn't something that you would write while you're, or, before you started your journey. That wouldn't make any sense. But yeah, why don't you give, whoever's listening, why don't you just kind of give a little quick background about, what your book is and, why you wrote it?
Well, I wrote two books. One is a healthy cookbook. It's an ebook. It's like 25 recipes for busy people on the go using things out of your pantry and your fridge. That was something that I created out of the pandemic because food was kind of scarce. And I always, I wouldn't say preach, but I discuss as far as how you need to have healthy items on hand for situations like this, especially when we're busy or we don't have time to, like really cook. It's like, well, what do I have on hand? Or if, your money's funny and your change is strange, it's like I can't afford to go out to eat or whatever. What do I have on hand that I can actually put together as far as a healthy meal? Because we waste a lot of food here, especially in the U.S., because we don't like leftovers, or we have the tendency to want to eat healthy, and we go out and buy all this healthy food, and then all of a sudden it's wilting and going to waste because we're tired, or we don't want that now, so we can go out to eat. Or we forget that it's even there, and we repurchase items, not knowing that we already had 2 bottles of ketchup that was open, in the pantry, or we already had like some ground turkey in the freezer, and that was, there 3 months ago, but we go out and buy more ground turkey. So that's where the other book came about, was How to Shop, Cook, and Eat Healthy on a Budget. Because a lot of people think that eating healthy is expensive, but it's what I call the 3 B's. Eating healthy doesn't have to be bland, doesn't have to be boring, and doesn't have to be a budget buster. And so it's just a matter of taking what you currently have at home, looking at what's currently on sale in the sales papers as far as your ads that's always coming out, and then making a plan as far as the meal plan. And then you sit down, write your plan, you budget it out, you prep on a certain.
Go back 1 second. We lost you for a minute there. Go back. I heard talking about writing down and making a plan. You cut out there. So can you start there?
Oh, sorry. I didn't know. As far as you taking inventory, so you find out what you have in your pantry and your fridge. You look at the sales papers that's coming out. It's like, well, what do I have currently that will match well with what's currently on sale? Then you write down an actual plan for the week. It's like, this is what we're going to have for the week. It doesn't necessarily have to be on a certain day, but these are, say, the 5 meals that I want to put together. You write down your grocery list as far as the ingredients that you need from what you already have. You go to the store, you start prepping. Preparation, and then having the things on hand. So healthy cookbook, another book talking about how to budget, how to find great deals, because I call myself the healthy budgetista. Where I'm always finding great deals in terms of grocery shopping. And so I put together all the things in which I've learned over the years to help you with your budgeting as far as food bill, because your food bill usually is the biggest bill outside of your mortgage, rent, or whatever. And like I said, we tend to overspend there in terms of going to the grocery store, eating out fast, casually, or even at the vending machine, at work. Those coins add up, especially if you're going through the Chick-fil-A and Starbucks line every single day.
Yeah. So
that money adds up where you could have got probably 2 bags of groceries as opposed to 5 cups of coffee and your chicken nuggets.
No, that's right. And what I do in every show is I put in the show notes any links that are relevant to the guests that I have on. So, I put this on the internet and it sits there forever. So anyone who comes and listens to this, we'll put links to your books, because I'm really interested in grabbing them too, because I think it's so easy to get lost in the minutia of the day and to not think of, kind of plan ahead. And if you don't go into grocery shopping if you go in there without a plan, it's really easy to just kind of be like, carrots are healthy, let me grab carrots. And it goes to exactly what you said. You just start wasting food a couple of weeks down the road because you forgot that you had it. You didn't buy it with any intention. Or you could start eating a bunch of crap too. Oh wow, Oreos are on sale. I like Oreos, and you just grab those. And I think that happens a lot too, right?
It does. I mean, impulse buys, as far as at the end caps at the grocery store, they're there for a reason. As usual, all the processed stuff, the candy stuff, we're waiting in line, looking at the magazines like, oh, there's chips, there's cookies, there's candy. There's usually all the unhealthy stuff is on the outside, at the end of the aisle, because they know that we're impulse buyers, we're emotional eaters. So it's really just a trick of the trade.
Yeah.
And we fall into it all, every single time.
And I think the way grocery stores are set up too, at least for the most part, is all the fresh produce and vegetables and fruits and everything are around the outsides, and then once you get closer to the inside, that's like the more and more like processed, kind of garbage food towards the middle there too.
You're correct.
Yep. Look at me. Every blind squirrel finds a nut once in a while. But I was gonna say too, know what me and my fiance started doing too, because we realized we would go in with a plan all the time, but sometimes, the best laid plans of men often go awry, or whatever that saying is. But we'd go in like starving, and we realize like we got to stop shopping hungry, So we make it an effort to like eat right before we go shopping. So we kind of curb some of the impulse buys too,
That's one of the tips in the book.
Is it really?
Don't go
wow.
shopping. Yeah, don't go grocery shopping hungry.
I love that. Yeah, I mean, that I definitely have experienced. So yeah, I love that one.
I think you read my book. Something's going on. 36.
Well, I definitely will read it. And now, what is I was going to ask you. So you were on? Was it or what show were you on talking about your book?
What show was I on? I wasn't talking about my book, but I was on the Today Show where I did talk about some of the healthy recipes that I created while I was on my weight loss journey and just my running journey period.
Gotcha. So I conflated those two, but I mean, just casually, like, yeah, I was on the Today Show talking about something, So how did...
I've been on a few shows. I was on Dr. Oz actually during the pandemic, a couple of times. But I mean, it's like I'm just grateful for having the platform because my pain has turned into my purpose, and then my purpose has turned into my platform where I'm able to reach millions of people to talk about how you can overcome chronic illnesses, how you can overcome morbid obesity, how you can actually turn your life around no matter what age you are, as far as if it's starting a career, if it's losing weight, wanting to get married, whatever it is that you want. You have to find that it. Wherever it is, you can do it.
That is a hell of a message. Are there any links are those shows or your appearances on those shows online anywhere that we could, link it to in the notes?
Yeah. I don't want to be, as far as narcissistic, but if you Google me, all of these will actually appear as far as the different places in which I've been in. I was like in Women's Running Magazine, Red Book, Dr. Oz, the Daily Mail UK, over there in Great Britain. So I'm in a few places. If you can find me, there's some links out there.
I'll be narcissistic for you, and I'll put the links in the notes so people can check it out because I think that's so freaking cool. How did they reach out to you, or how did they hear about your story?
Actually, I think I reached out to the producer of the Today Show, and she immediately, hit me back up, and it's like, hey, I love your story. Let's fly you out here. Because at the time they were doing something called the Joy Club, and it was for people who naturally lost over 100 pounds or whatever. And so they flew me out there. It's my first time actually being in New York, and it's so funny because I actually spoke it into existence. Because I remember writing it down on paper. I was like, I want to go to New York. And never did I know that was my ticket as far as losing weight was going to New York. And so that's how they found me. And then after that, the doors just really started opening. As far as like with Women's Running Magazine, I was running for the cover contest for them. And so out of 2,000 entrants, I was I was one of 8,
Wow.
which they selected to actually be on the cover of the magazine. And so someone else won, but they still featured the rest of us inside of the magazine.
That's absolutely incredible.
I've had some great opportunities, and so I'm just very thankful that my story has resonated with so many people in knowing that they can really overcome and achieve anything in which they really set their mind to. Because it takes a lot of consistency, it takes some discipline and some dedication. And honestly, I'm a person of faith. It took a whole lot of prayer because there were many times in which I wanted to give up. And there were days in which I did. I mean, even as far as today, there are times in which it's like, I just don't have it in me. I don't have bandwidth. What am I doing? And then I always get a ram in the bush. It's like someone might say something or drop a nugget, or I might get an opportunity. I'm like, this is my why. This is why I work as hard as I do. This is why I sacrifice sometimes my time and my sleep, because this is bigger than me. It never was about me. It was about, like I said, inspiring and empowering other people to live a better life.
I love that. I mean, so I just finished a book maybe about a month ago called The Confidence Gap, and a lot of what you're saying was written in that book. And one of the things that they said is like when you have a major goal in mind, like you had, and you found your why, you can't live in absolutes. You can't say, like, I'm never going to miss a workout, because if you're in that mindset, most people can't live up to that. You're going to have days where you're sick, or you're just not feeling it, or, you know, something comes up and you're going to miss it. And if you're in that mindset where if you miss something, that's a failure, well, then it's just a snowball effect negatively from there. And I think, I think what it sounds like you did just had an awesome, kind of perspective on the whole, fitness journey. It's like, always remember where you started from, keep that why in mind. And if you get derailed a day or two, that's okay, because that's just a step in the entire journey. I mean, your journey's not even anywhere near being over either. You know what I mean? There is no finish line. I think it was Adidas who came up with that, brilliant marketing step. But I mean, that's true. Like Nike, just do it, and Adidas, there's no finish line. I mean, those are two, just because I constantly find myself saying, just do it. Like when I wake up in the morning and it's raining and you don't feel like running, or you can't think about it. You just got to go. And like you said, find your why. I think there's so many distractions in our modern day-to-day lives that I think it's easy to never find your why. And to all of a sudden, 20, 30 years down the road, just realize that, like, you never found your why. And it's easy to figure out. You can't see the forest through the trees sometimes. You get to the point where you turn around and you're like, how the hell did I become this? Well, if you're waking up, you're eating garbage, like you get a cup of coffee, go to Chick-fil-A for breakfast, and then, you're going to a job you don't really like, and then you're not really driven to, like, pursue anything of your passions, and then you just go home and watch TV and then go to bed, well, you can multiply that by 20, 30 years, and you're not in a good spot, So I think it's just like anything. Like, I wouldn't want to learn music from someone who's never played an instrument before. I would never want to, like, if I was in the military, I'd never want to, like, listen to a general who'd never been in my position before. Or even as a salesperson, I don't want a boss who's never done sales. Like, I want to learn from people that have done it, have proven that they have what it takes to be a beacon of inspiration. So I think your message, that's why it resonates so deeply. Like, anyone can talk about it, but you've actually talked the talk and walked the walk.
Well, I appreciate it, because I take that wholeheartedly, because I am my brand, honestly, because, like I said, I am a walking billboard for health and wellness. Like I said, I've been on both sides of the coin, so it's easier for me to, I feel as if, resonate with people, because I'm not that personal trainer who's been, fit their entire life, and I have a client that's 350 pounds and I'm telling them, you can do it, I don't know why you can't. I'm that person that was on the other side. I'm like, no, I can't because of such and such, or I don't have it within me today, or I have this self-defeatist attitude where it's like I've been beat down for so many years that, I have to change my mindset before I can even get to the point of you thinking that I can, because I feel as if I can't. Mm-hmm. And so with that finish line, it's been many times in which I felt as if it was going further and further away from me. But then that's what life is all about. We're constantly evolving. Right. Because if you're not evolving, that means you're stagnant. And if you're stagnant, that means you're not moving anywhere. And so, I treat my successes and setbacks the same. I feel from both of them. I learn from both of them, and I keep moving. Because if you stay in either place too long, you're not growing.
That's
so
right.
If you stay, the success way, you're not growing. And if you stay stuck, you're not growing. Learn from both, keep moving. And so that's why I constantly make goals for myself, where that's probably why the finish line is, steadily, going further and further back, because the finish line to me is death. And so whatever, I do with that dash in between my born date and my death date, I want it to matter.
Yeah, I listen to a lot. That's perfect. I mean, I agree with and I love everything that you said. One of the things that I do on a consistent basis, like ad nauseum, to my fiance, she's like, she could recite all these not nonsense, but all these, like, YouTube videos that I watch of, like, inspirational videos and stuff. And one of them that I really like is he says, live each day like it's your last, because one day you're certainly going to be right. And I mean, very similar concept to, like, what you say, do the dash, whatever the dash, make the most of that. There's a born date, there's a death date, and do whatever you can in between there. One of the questions I do have for you that I think people will find Really interesting. I know you find your why, and obviously that's very important to understand why you're doing what you're doing in and day out. But I mean, you said at 36 you changed. That was the turning point for you, and now you're 47. So obviously, for well over 3/4 of your life, you were in that living with obesity and all that kind of stuff, and then you turned it around later in life. But now you're 11 years into it, and obviously you've maintained it. And because I think a lot of people fall to the trap of, not trap, but maybe it's hard work to get to lose the weight that you did, and to achieve what you've achieved. And sometimes you do see, I don't know if relapse is the right word, but you'll see people kind of slide back into bad habits. Do you have any advice for people that maybe got over that hump and got to maybe a goal weight and have trouble maintaining that, or keeping that up?
First and foremost, it takes courage to even want to try. Losing weight is hard. Maintaining is even harder, because you hit that goal, but now what? Mm-hmm. So that's why you have to approach it as a lifestyle and not a temporary thing, as far as with a diet, because this is something that you have to work on every single day. You have to make choices every single day, as far as to eat right, or better, I should say, to work out. But most of all, give yourself grace. That is my biggest thing, especially with the pandemic. Give yourself grace, because so many people, including myself, we gained weight during the pandemic, mm-hmm. Because of the added stress, the uncertainty, because even though I was working out consistently, I was eating better, cortisol was all throughout my system, mm-hmm. just from the stress, because I truly self-isolated. And so with cortisol, you're going to gain weight no matter what you do. Truth be told, because that's just scientific. It's in your body or whatever.
Physiological,
yep. Fighting is it's fight or flight.
Yep.
Because I had developed some type of insomnia too, because I just didn't know what was going on. Running, I felt as if was taken away from me during this time, because I know what type of air I was breathing outside, and who wants to run with a mask on?
Right.
So it was a crazy period of time, and so I'm ready to get back. But the thing about it is, it's like you really have to give yourself grace. When I lost the weight, I always gave myself a window. I was like, 5 to 7 pounds. I was like, I can gain weight anywhere between 5 to 7 pounds. And if I hit that 7 pound mark, I was like, I hit the brakes. I'm like, okay, girl, you got to bag on back. What is it that you're doing? Get back on track. So, like I said, give yourself grace. Just be proud of yourself as far as where you are, because truth be told, if you're not happy where you are right now, you won't be happy once you hit that goal, because you really never found the root cause of why you were overweight in the first place.
Yeah.
So it's something else that's there that you have to really seek deep and get to the root of the problem, as to, if I wasn't happy at 350 pounds, how come I'm still not happy at 165?
So in terms of your diet and nutrition along your journey, mm-hmm. What was there like specific, for instance, like me, every day I use MyFitnessPal, and I'm, it's not like exactly, but I have a general idea of like my triathlon training and, my lifting or, resistance training that I'm doing, generally speaking, how many calories I'm burning compared to like how many I'm taking in. Did you get that granular with it, or was it more of, I'm just going to cut out all the bad stuff, or was it, more fine tuning as you went along? Like, what was that like?
I was definitely not like that. Because I wasn't an athlete. I think once you get to that place where you're training for something and you're trying to count your macros and all that type of stuff, that's a lot for someone that's 350 pounds and they're used to eating 7,000 calories or whatever, and they're not used to tracking anything. Mm-hmm. So for me, I chose to eat more nutrient-dense foods and less processed stuff, and like I said, found healthy alternatives. and try to not eat as much white foods as opposed to the brown foods, and eating the quinoas and the brown rices or whatnot. Because I was a soul food girl. Like I said, growing up in Memphis, we're all about barbecue. We're about deep frying. We're about, honestly, like ham hocks and sweet potatoes and chicken and dressing. We're about that life. And so I had to learn how to eat differently. It's like, I didn't grow up eating salmon and steamed broccoli and brown rice. I was having like chicken and dressing and baked macaroni and cheese and cornbread on a Wednesday. It's like we didn't know what Sunday dinner was, because Sunday dinner was every day in my house. Because Sunday dinners and holiday meals, they were supposedly special. We were eating that stuff, like I said, throughout the week. If my mama wanted to, bake a ham, she baked a ham on a Friday. That's just how it was in my household.
Yeah.
Hence being overweight. But we also did canning too. I mean, that's a lost art, where we would go to like the farmer's market, and every summer with my grandmother, we'd sit at the table and we'll shuck peas and do okra and make pear preserves. We have a pear tree in our backyard. And
that's cool.
So she made pear and apple preserves. We made chow. We made homemade soup. We had things that were stocked, because we had like 3 or 4 different deep freezers too. But my grandfather was born in 1905. My grandmother was born in 1911. So they came up during, the Depression. Mm-hmm. And so during that time, food was very scarce. And so I think it just really carried over into their life, where it's like, we're never going hungry again. Therefore, that's when the canning and the freezing came about, and all the stockpiles of food. And so that was my summer as far as making, things. So in case of winter times where we couldn't get out, we always had to eat. Hence me also eating and being overweight as well. So I had to change as far as just, I didn't count calories. At first I did MyFitnessPal. That wasn't working for me. To me, if you're used to eating 6,000 calories and then you start eating 3,000, that's a win, because you're automatically going to lose some weight. Mm-hmm. It's not until you get to somewhat your goal weight that you really probably need to like buckle down as far as calories. But by that time, I was eyeballing stuff. So I really was, like I said, still like tracking calories, as you can say. I just made sure I had like a lean protein, a complex carb, and like a non-starchy vegetable with like a healthy fat. Or if I had a starchy vegetable, I made sure I didn't have like any type of carb. So I worked my plates that way. And I used measuring cups, measuring spoons. I read all my labels as far as what serving sizes were. I used a digital scale. So I did use some tools in that regard. As far as calorie counting, no. I didn't do that.
Well, first of all, it's interesting you said your grandparents were born in, what'd you say, 05 and 11?
5 and 1911.
Yeah, my family wasn't even in the U.S. yet. They came from Italy in 1918, so that's pretty wild that they were here.
Wow.
But the what else was it? Oh, so that's I think such a big, when people, when I was trying to teach, and I'm not a certified nutritionist, so I would just say I just keep up to date on all this stuff, and I learn as it goes, and it's one of these things, the more you know, the more you don't know, right? Because, one piece of knowledge opens up to like 20 more questions that you have, and then those questions open up. But I used to say, and I think this is a fact, I mean, portion size it's so misleading to read a nutrition label, because you read a nutrition label, you'll be like, oh, wow, it's only 100 calories, and it's a box, and there's like, 50 servings in it. You know what I mean? You'll sit around and eat the whole box, and people don't realize, portions are really essential. I mean, that's probably the most basic building block of any weight loss journey, is trying to understand, portion control. Or, for me, as a triathlete, I'm constantly hungry, and it's easy and I could eat like a jar of peanut butter like in one sitting, but like what I try to do is I try to eat a lot of like high volume type foods, so it fills me up, and I'm not just like like you said, like broccoli or cauliflower, or even eat like cauliflower pizza is just and I was going to mention too earlier, I mean, I'm from Buffalo, so chicken wings are a food group there, so we'd have wings. We did.
There's one in Memphis too. We have a hot wing spot on every corner.
One of my close friends is in Memphis, and Memphis is actually. So I'm in Dallas, and when we drive, because we drive home to Buffalo, we got 2 dogs, so we either stop in Nashville because it's exactly halfway, or Memphis and then Cincinnati because that's a third. So next time I drive through Memphis, I'll have to hit you up. We could grab lunch or something.
Please do.
Yeah.
Please.
What was I going to say? Oh yeah. So let's talk about. So you said you're a fitness instructor now, right?
Yeah. I was teaching a lot of stuff before the pandemic. So at the particular time I was teaching bar. I was teaching 3 days a week as far as indoor cycling. I was teaching seniors, which I absolutely love.
Oh, that's cool.
I was teaching them cardio as well, strength training, and chair yoga. And so I had, right before the gyms closed down, I was also training to become a body pump instructor. So during the pandemic, I ended up getting my certification as far as in body pump too.
Wow. So and that's actually a question I had before. I forgot to. I'm writing stuff down here as we go. But so obviously you chose that cardio as a great way to lose weight, stay active, and all that. But did you do a lot of resistance training too, throughout your journey?
Not really, because I didn't understand at that time. That is something which I would encourage people if they are trying to lose weight, is to definitely do cardio and strength training at the same time. It wasn't until I guess like the back end of my weight loss journey that I started doing like boot camps or HIIT type of exercises involving weights or whatever. But now that I am a marathoner, I'm totally believe in cross training as far as resistance training, because we can get injured so much because of the cardio and our bodies just beating the pavement and just losing muscle, especially if you're an endurance athlete as far as running half marathons and marathons. Because I know doing like marathon season, like while I was training for St. Jude, I was over 18 weeks I easily ran like 500 miles.
Jesus,
or whatever. So yeah, I was getting up like at 2:30 in the morning just so I can beat the sun.
That's so crazy.
Yeah, I'm very, very crazy. I'm like, girl, why? Because I mean, even when I'm running, I was like, girl, why are you doing this? Like, you could be in the bed asleep like everybody else. It's like, all the thoughts could go into your head, but then it's like when you finish, you feel like you're just this super badass woman.
Yep.
Or whatever. And so it's like, it's crazy. Runners are crazy. I'm pretty sure triathletes are crazy too, because honestly, I want to be a triathlete, but I don't know how to swim. I just got a bike. So I'm taking one step at a time, or like baby steps, because I want to act a fool in the water and I don't want to drown.
And I also just said yep to you. Like you said, you feel like a badass woman, and I'm like, yep. I definitely don't know what it's like to feel like a badass woman, but I know what it's like to feel badass. But I lucked out with triathlon, because not lucked out, but I mean, I was the captain of my swim team in high school, and so I had swimming in a pool and doing 50s and 100s is a lot different than swimming a half mile in an open water lake. But at least I had the skill of swimming, and I always just say, that is, I give credit to people who don't know how to swim and then, get into triathlon, because it's the only sport where you can't breathe whenever you want. Every other sport, the harder you work, the more you breathe, you breathe faster. But in swimming, you got to rhythmically breathe, and that's a really hard concept to kind of put together. But if you get into it, I mean, any questions? Obviously, I'm here to help you out and push you, and we could do it. One of my buddies, actually, the guy that lives in Memphis, he won the aquathlon national championship for his age group.
Oh wow!
Yeah. He was actually I think he was my fourth guest on the show or something like that. But yeah, he was on. But yeah, he's in Memphis too. So I got 2 reasons to go to Memphis now. Or to stop when we drive there.
And St. Jude has a Ironman here too. So we were supposed to do it last year, but of course it didn't happen. Mm-hmm. So I was like, well, maybe this is my I guess signs like you should do it. You should learn how to swim and bike. So it's still on the table. I don't know. But I never thought I would become a fitness instructor in anything, because like I said, I hated exercise. I know the couch was my friend. But now to sit there and teach like Tabata classes and indoor cycling and body pump and all these other type of fitness modalities, you couldn't even tell me I was going to be teaching yoga either. And like, here I am doing yoga. So when I say holistic health, I really do mean it as far as mind, body, and spirit. Because if it's running, if it's indoor cycling, like I said, finding yourself on the mat, I'm there for you. I mean, even in terms of nutrition, as far as nutritional counseling, because holistic health is the foundation of who you are. Whether, like I said, your work, your spirit, your social, self, as far as the mental, the physical, the spiritual, the emotion that's connected to it. That's how I got my business name, Fit and Finally Free. All of those weights were dropped from me, in terms of the physical, the emotional, the spiritual, the mental. And so when I have a client or I, do some type of talk, I talk about those 4 areas because all of those areas work together.
Yeah.
And like I said, they make us who we are. And when one of those things are out of sync, as far as your chakras, the rest of you, is out of sync. So it's like you can't put, your eggs all in one basket. It's like you have to work on each and every one of those things every single day.
And it's pretty easy to ignore, one of those, right? I mean, I think a lot of people really don't take the time to find themselves. They're just constantly trying to keep up with others, maybe, or maybe doing what you think you're supposed to be doing. But to me, there is no supposed to. You're born and just figure it out until you die, right? I mean, that's the way I look at it.
But it's hard finding your purpose because people confuse purpose with passion. Like, is this what you're meant to do, what you were called to do? Because I feel as if we're all assigned people and things to do as far as while we're here. Or is this a passion project? Or is this just a season in which you're, uncertain because, things are wreaking havoc in your life and it's like you just really don't know. So are you called to do as far as your purpose? Or is it really, like I said, a passion project? It's like, well, I like doing this and it brings me joy, but it's not really my purpose.
Yeah, that's interesting. I've never really thought about it like that before, but I think that's a great way to look at it. Do you find a lot of people that you talk to confuse the two or conflate the two? And
I do. I actually had a girlfriend today she's in healthcare and she's like, I want to do something else. What should I do? And so I was like, for one, why ask the question now? I was like, is it the season that you're in? Is something happening in your life that's causing you to question what it is that you're currently doing, that you have been doing for the past 10 or 15 years? Do you feel as if it's your purpose? Or if it's not, like I said, all these things in which you think you want to do, is it, like I said, a passion that you want to do it? Because say, for instance, I love cooking, but do I want to become a chef or I just like cooking?
Okay,
so
yeah.
You have to determine, like I said, is it my purpose or is it my passion?
I love that.
Yeah, a lot of people tend to confuse the two because they feel as if the hobbies or their passions are really what they were called to do in life when it's really not. It's just there to fulfill you and to fill in the gaps that you need to, have that happiness and joy inside of you, as opposed to how am I giving back to the community? How am I giving back to society? Because I'm very social driven now, as far as just being an advocate, especially in Black maternal health care, for the simple fact that Black women are 2 to 3 times likely to die 40 days postpartum as opposed to white women. Same thing as far as with babies. Just due to healthcare disparities, due to socio and economic gaps, and honestly not being taken seriously in terms of, our pain threshold and just who we are, in general.
That's interesting. I obviously had no idea about that.
Going into like the prenatal yoga and the doula services because they need an advocate and a voice for them to empower them and, and honestly to help save their lives. Because when you're going through that much pain, you're not thinking about what it is that the doctor is doing or saying, because we're trusting that they have our best interests in mind, and sometimes they're not. And so it's like, I'm the person that's there to sit there and make sure that your birth plan goes as planned, as you want it to be. And then, like I said, just to be a voice. I'm not trying to, overcome whatever it is that you want to do, but just to be that support person for you. So I found gaps within my community in which I felt there was a need, and I decided to step up to fill that gap. And so in terms of health and wellness, because there's food insecurity, insecure areas here too. They don't have the transportation or the knowledge as far as how to eat healthier or better when, it's like You need someone to come into these areas that look like them, because representation matters.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I agree. Yeah.
You have to have a trusted source in which they can relate to and confide in. I saw there was a need. It's like, okay, I need to help people as far as nutritional counseling and get them to find a better way of living life, because here in Memphis, we're like in the top 5 cities in America in terms of obesity, diabetes, and hypertension. We have dialysis centers popping up everywhere here in Memphis for the simple fact that people are not taking care of themselves, don't have access to, like I said, better health care, can't afford their medicine. They're not aware or educated in terms of how to eat better, or like I said, have the means of eating better. So like I said, I felt that there was a need and there was a gap there. So I was like, how can I fill this gap?
Wow. Well, I'll tell you what, that's honestly some really incredibly noble stuff that you do. I think it's really easy for people to see something like that and sometimes say, well, I could do that, but someone else will step up, or, it's maybe not my place to do it, or I'm too busy or whatever. But to actually do that, and I know that you deal with some pretty tough situations too. I mean, you posted something yesterday, I think, on your Facebook page about a tough situation that you're in. So, it's tough but necessary kind of work that you do, and I'll tell you, it really is very noble, and inspiration comes in many different forms, and I think you come in basically all of those forms.
Well, thank you. I'm humbled by that statement, because like I said, it's so much bigger than me. And I'm only one person, but sometimes it only takes one person to actually get the ball rolling. That's
right. Well, I think, like you said, the difference between like passion and purpose, I think there's also, disingenuous and, genuine people as well. And when someone is very fiery and driven, like someone like yourself, I think that just is very transparent and people can see that. And, I'll tell you, everything that you've talked about so far is crazy inspirational. And I wanted to touch on the journalism part too. So you said you went to college for journalism. Are you still in that field at all, or where did that take you?
I guess I kind of bypassed it. The crazy thing about it is I wanted to be a copywriter. I wanted to write advertising jingles and ads or whatnot. But now I'm writing recipes. I'm writing inspiration. It's like my words are different now, I guess you can say.
But I see the way your mind works. You got all these phrases, and so it didn't leave you completely. You're still.
Yeah. So I kind of bypassed it because it was so crazy. I'll never forget. It was about 10 years ago. I went to my pastor. And I had asked him, I was like, I'm having some issues and having some problems. And it's like, well, you should journal about it. And I was like, I don't want to write about my issues or problems. I said, because when you read about it, sometimes it can bring no sadness to you. But then also, too, if you read, you can see how far you've overcome. And so I just thought, as far as, like, for instance, my weight loss journey, it was very, very personal to me. And honestly, I never really just documented or took pictures or anything as I was going through the process. Because I'm thinking, like, people lose weight all day. Why would they want to hear about my story? Little did I know how my story actually was impactful for some people. And so I was like, over 10 years ago, my pastor said, write about your personal journey. And now here I am writing to the world about my personal journey. And so it was really, I guess, a 180, where something to me that was so private actually became very public, but then it had to become public because it's helping so many more people, because some people have share the same story in which I have. Everyone has a story. Yeah. And so, it depends upon if you're ready to be transparent and vulnerable in telling, your story, because honestly, I haven't told all parts of it. I don't think anyone tells everything. Right. But, wherever it is that you feel that you can share, just know that it is impacting other people in some kind of way, regardless if they say it or not. Because, honestly, I have a lot of voyeurs I know that follow me. But if I say meet them out in person, they can tell me everything which I've ever said or done, but they never say anything. So just know that, sometimes you have to clap yourself on the back and know that, it's not about you. It's about other people. But you are impacting other people, regardless, like I said, if you're saying anything or not. It's a matter of like, do you want to be influential or do you want to be impactful? I want to be impactful.
I love that. Yeah, that's it really is the reason why, like, you know, I started this show. And if you look at my Instagram, it's not like, you know, look at me. It's like, you can do this. You know, I just want to like provide I want someone to just be like, if he can do it, I can do it. You know, that's if someone says that, like, I love that. I ran on Sunday, or Saturday, I did like 8 miles or something like that. And, you know, I'm doing the Better Your Mile challenge, the on thing. Okay. And so I've been kind of documenting that just on Instagram stories, nothing crazy. And someone wrote to me, you know, God damn, you're inspiring, or something like that, you know. And I don't think that person really understands like how much that means to me, because I'm not doing it for, you know, vanity reasons or anything like that. And it's kind of an ironic situation, because like I hate hearing myself talk. I have this weird like upstate New York accent, and you know, and I've never been the kind of person to like, you know, do that kind of stuff. But you know, as this show goes on and more people start to listen to it, and like my friends and stuff, they'll tell me like, oh, I heard your show last week, and what a cool guest, you know, and I'm going to start doing this. And that's the point. Like, that's the point right there, is to just to surround yourself with inspiring, and because it can go both ways, you know, if you're surrounding yourself with, you know, uninspired, or I don't know another word. I'm not good with words, but my last name's Goldsmith, not Wordsmith.
Say you had your little thing too.
I just came up with that. But you know what I'm saying is, I just try to be like, I want people to just like, hey, another episode's up. Who's he talking to this week? Because I've talked to such a broad spectrum. I had a guy who got, he was in the Olympics for swimming. And then by the time he was, I think, in his like early 30s, he was obese. And his doctor was like, yo, if you keep going this way, like, same thing kind of like you, is, you know, you're not going to make it, man. Like, you got to change it. And his why was his kid. He just had like a 2-year-old kid. Well, now he's back in, he travels the world, and like he goes to world championships and swimming again. So he was like at the peak, and then dropped, and now he's back, you know, and his why was his kid. I have another guy who got into inline speed skating at the age of 40 years old. Like, what a weird, you know, like, path to take, but like, he loves it, and he's great. He's going to national championships for that, you know. So if I could just inspire one person to pick up a new hobby or new, you know, passion, and, you know, get healthy, or, you know, find a new purpose, I mean, that's the point of all this. So I think what you're saying is definitely, I mean, it's perfect for what I'm trying to do. And my Instagram feeds and my Facebook feeds and Twitter and everything is just slowly becoming like an all-enveloping, like all my guests. Every guest I have on, I follow them. So like my feed is just all people doing cool shit all the time, you know?
Yeah, because like you say, it matters. It's like, I want my feed to have people that are doing things in life and inspiring people, because what you read, what you take in, you know, it becomes, you know, part of your spirit. So if you're having people and you're following folks that's like eating bad or not doing anything with their life, it's like, you know, do you want to read that type of, you know, negative type of stuff all the time? Or, you know, are they complaining? Or do you want people that can say it, that are inspiring you? And, you know, so it makes a difference, because you have to, even with social media, you know, you have to pick your friends, your virtual friends that you want to be around, because it really does matter.
That's
social
right.
media attention happens.
Well, social media, I think I mean, you create your view of the world, you know, through social media. I mean, I could make the world the worst place imaginable by the people that I follow, like on purpose, you know what I mean? Like, if I want to, you know, follow, you know, only people on the left, I could do that. If I want to follow only people on the right, and then it's this slippery slope, and then it just creates division. And I've cognizantly made the decision to just like, to not, you know, deal with any of that nonsense, because it's nonsense. Because people say stuff that they wouldn't say to each other in person, and people, it really is energy, like you said. It's all, you know, your I forgot the word you said, like chakra or something, but like it's all energy in and out. I mean, it's all just it's flowing everywhere all the time, and I think it's something to be cognizant of that I don't think enough people are on a day-to-day basis.
Y'all call those keyboard gangsters.
It's a lot of them. There's definitely a lot of them.
It's like you'll say that behind the screen, but will you say that to me in person?
That's right.
Do you have enough confidence to do that? And I don't think they do.
No, for sure not. For sure.
Because I'm the type of person, I don't start anything, but I will finish.
Yeah, well, I think every person has the right to defend themselves, right? I mean, you can't just, especially like if there's no ill will to anything that you're doing, and then someone just comes at you, like, what the heck?
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, we are just over an hour, believe it or not. Yeah, I'll tell you, this has been one of my favorite conversations I've had because of what you've been able to do, and I'm going to point to this a lot. I'm going to refer people to this, to listen to this, and you're going to send me the links when we get off here so I can put them in the show notes and everything. But I don't prepare anything when before we talk. I don't prepare any questions or anything. So I always like to give you the floor for the last little bit here. Like, is there anything we didn't talk about, or is there any message that you want to put into the ethos? The floor is yours.
If anything, like I've said time and time again, give yourself grace. Because we make mistakes. Every day is not going to be a good day, but each day is an opportunity to get it right.
Well, I think that's a great spot to end. I think that's a great message to end the show on. So I just want to say thank you again. I know how incredibly busy you are in your day-to-day, and I really appreciate you coming on. And thanks to everyone who listened. I'm gonna produce the show right now, and you'll see it up on all my social media profiles. And make sure you follow Almetria, because she is just an incredible beacon of inspiration and positivity. Thanks for watching, everybody. Almetria, we will see you soon.
All right.